What's up, everyone? It's the best night of the week. Welcome back to 614 Headsets. We're your hosts, Ryan Sayers. Say hello.
What's up, everybody? Back in action. Best night of the week, as Stout said. We look forward to this every single week.
Donovan White.
Episode 5 on Doc. Appreciate you guys all tuning in.
Man, we are rolling, and we're going to introduce our guests in a little bit because we got some great stuff for them. But, hey, Tom Brady said it best. Football is unconditional love, and we couldn't agree more. And football is in full effect here in Ohio right now. Everybody's getting their early practices in. Everything's rolling right now, and it's starting to really feel like that time. This game is a lifestyle, and that's why we consider our show a movement of that lifestyle. And we're 3 high school coaches from the Columbus area who live and love this game. Donovan, we're going to get right into it today. Tell them what we're going to get into.
We're going to talk with Coach Tyler Manus, defensive coordinator from Chattanooga, Tennessee, a little bit at the beginning, and then we're all going to go into another segment of Coach Sayers' favorite awards, the All Gas Award, for another category. I won't spoil it just yet. We're going to talk about some differences in high school football up north versus down south, our most memorable headset experiences, and then finally differences we have seen from that tight front 5-2 defense and a couple other experiences we've had with that. So very excited for that today.
I can't wait, man. Life in the dirty South.
Everybody has his name messed up in Ohio. I'm just going to keep it real. Can we say it one more time for the viewers? Because this threw me all the way up. It is Tyler Manus, right?
Yes, sir. That's it. That's correct.
Everybody in Ohio, stop. Every time you talk about Tyler Manus, I've heard your name a lot be brought up like throughout the football world, and it is always Tyler Manus.
Hey, and this guy's got like over 14,000 followers on Twitter, and I guarantee 98% don't know it. Can you imagine how many people are just in there like, oh, Tyler Manus as you're going through? I guarantee it, man.
It's funny you said that because I just started a new school, and my kids would not say my name, and I knew they were scared because they didn't know how to pronounce it. And finally, like 2 weeks in, one of the kids came up and was like, all right, well, I got voted as the kid that had to come ask you how to pronounce your name. So how do you actually pronounce your name, Coach? I was like, all right, that's fair. He didn't have to be scared. I get it.
Hey, kids are hilarious, aren't they? They're just so funny. Like, he got voted.
All right. Hey, before we get rolling, though, let's talk about our sponsor and our partner, Fundraising University. Fundraising University of Ohio offers a variety of fundraising efforts that helps football teams run profitable, effective, and fast-paced fundraisers designed to raise the most money in the shortest amount of time to reach their fundraising goal. Fundraising University of Ohio is locally owned, operated, and with their 6-step blitz system will help your team maximize profits. As a current coach himself, Brent Maxwell with Fundraising University will sit down and help you pick, plan, strategize, and execute your fundraiser that will allow you as a coach to focus on your practice time, prep time, player development, and the all-important personal time. Fundraising University of Ohio offers 60-minute donation platforms, which will have your money back in 8 days, digital and hard discount cards, and they'll put all the work in for you. And they're all popular popcorn sale as well and others. If you're interested in us running a fundraiser for you, please contact Brent Maxwell at bmaxwell@fundraising.net or 740-501-8946 to learn how to get started with fundraising. Brent is still looking for football teams for this July and August. It's not too late. And the summer's a great time because the spring sports are over and you finally got all your kids back with you. And it's a fantastic time. And for me, fundraising, it gave me anxiety as a head coach. Ryan, how's it helped you?
Again, like Brent has done an amazing job for us. He's been able to provide us with a game plan on how to raise the money. That's the biggest thing I think that he provides with us at Fundraising University is not just here's the fundraiser, but he comes and meets with your team 3 times, right, throughout the fundraiser. That he kicks it off with your team. Your kids know him. It's funny, they know him as the fundraising guy. But Coach Maxwell does a phenomenal job and always is willing to help, too.
Awesome. So coaches, programs, businesses, whatever it is, you want a stress-free fundraiser where it's quick and you get a max amount of money, hit up Fundraising University. Donovan, let's get into our guest right now. Transition us, big boy. All right, I'm up, man. Hey, I love Twitter. My wife is yelling me, put down your phone. I'm like, hey, I'm looking at football. That's all that's on here. All right. And Tyler and I had already been talking back and forth a little bit on Twitter about different things and joke, you name it, man. And I'm excited that when this guy hit me up and said he wanted to come on the show and talk to us. So tonight we have Tyler Manus from Cleveland High School, the Legion of Blue, baby. That's what tonight's titled. From Chattanooga, Tennessee. And when you hop on his Twitter, he's all everything. He's a business owner. He's 247 Sports. I've seen him on Throw Deep Publishing. He's on everything, man. I don't know what else this guy's doing. I just saw today before we hopped on here, he was thinking about running to be the director of agriculture in Tennessee because he's got a beef or something. I don't know what this guy doesn't have his hand in. Tyler, as we get started, man, go ahead and just introduce yourself. Correct me where I may have been wrong. Please fill me in on the beef with the Department of Agriculture, if you could. And go ahead and just introduce us and tell us about your journey to where you're at, because this man is Mr. Worldwide. He's been everywhere.
I appreciate that. I always tell my wife I gotta stop tweeting about chicken nuggets and about random things, because sometimes I forget people actually follow me and I just go out there and start hitting send. So that's a good reminder there. So I originally got my start from Fort Myers, Florida, so Southwest Florida, south of Tampa. I just randomly lucked in and became the defensive coordinator at my alma mater in Fort Myers, just a little dinky private school. My first year, I think we had like 26 kids. My second year, we had like a school record for roster size, and it was like 36. And we had like 2 or 3 coaches. Really, it was just me and the head coach fighting for our survival. And we'll get into it later, but like I had to see a bunch of ex-NFL guys that were coaching their sons. I was like really getting into the thick of things. Fast forward, I got married last January, moved to Chattanooga, Tennessee, took a job at Tyner Academy, was blessed to be the defense coordinator there. Went 14-1, won a state championship for the first time since 1997. And then just real recently, just took the new job at Cleveland High School in right around Chattanooga, which is a 6A school. So, and I've only coached this will be my 4th year, but been to 3 different places, and all 3 have been very different. Tyner's also, we were around 50, 60 on the roster size, still only 5 or 6 coaches, and Cleveland's completely opposite. We have a big roster, big coaching staff, no excuses. As far as like the Department of Agriculture and all that, I do not teach. I own a pest control business. That's what I've done since I was about 19. Learned it from my grandpa, so that's what I do. That's how I am able to tweet all day at different hours, because I'm not teaching or anything like that. So I can make my own schedule and then beef with the Department of Agriculture. That's what I do on the side.
That's hilarious, man. I was wondering like where was the base behind this? That is hilarious, man. So Cleveland High School, I love like you guys.
I didn't even know there was a Cleveland besides Ohio's Cleveland.
Man, these schools down south, man, they got some crazy video production and everything. Mm-hmm. Talk to us, like, what was the appeal to Cleveland? What made you win a state championship at a school? What was the appeal to Cleveland?
So a couple of things. First and foremost, it was Coach Tygard, the head coach that was just named there. He was previously at Blackman, which is a big 6A school in Murfreesboro, which is right in between Nashville and Cleveland. He's really made his name for himself. He's another young guy in his 30s. He's taken the coaching Tennessee area. He was in Alabama for a bit. He coached for a couple of years at UT. He just does things completely different. We get eye to eye on the use of Twitter and social media to market not only yourself and the program, but especially the kids, because that's really what it comes down to. The more followers that you have as a coach on Twitter, the more followers that see your kids' highlight tapes and things like that. And those connections and networking, it's all really important. It's all kind of span together. So he's the one who like spearheads all of that. So he was like even in Forbes magazine for all the crazy stuff that he does. So every single game has like a theme night. We did media day. We just had 8th grader signing day, which I actually got the idea from you guys, because I think you guys do it at Gahanna.
Yeah, we've done for a while now.
Yeah, love the idea. Kids were jazzed about it. They had like hog background and they were flexing and putting all.
Let's talk about how Tyler has this incoming freshman that literally looks like 5-star 21-inch guns, dude, on this kid. But that's awesome. So yeah, hey, when we get off here tonight, reach out and I'll tell you some different things that we've done maybe over the years that we can bounce some ideas off each other. Absolutely. We love our middle school signing day, and we were always evolving it and changing it. We've done different things, and it's great. And you guys, you have a fantastic filter and video squad, and I love watching everything.
Everything I
And-
went through his Twitter today. Everything is spot on. It's money.
It's great.
It's great. Everything you guys post is great. And I agree, man. Like, you have to adjust with the kids. Like, I talk to some coaches that are old school, like, now we ain't listening to rap music. Now we ain't doing it.
It's a new age, man. Like, I look at it. So, like, Doug Geiser has now become the head coach at Ashland University. He was my position coach. This man wouldn't even text you when he was a position coach. You couldn't text him. He didn't have any social media. Now he texts. Now he's got social media. The game has completely changed, and we have to change with it. And absolutely, you have to use that as a tool. All right, Tyler, we love to get us. This is the second time we've done this, and the questions are a little tougher tonight, and you don't even know them. All right, but we got
I love my questions. I was like, this gave me more time to think about them. I thought about them for like 2 days. Like, which one can I really get?
We got a new segment we're doing with every guest when they come on called the Pick Six segment, where there's 3 of us here. We're gonna fire off 2 questions each, where the viewers get to know you a little bit more. Donovan, start us out with your random pick sixes.
Finally, Donnie will say a word.
First question. If you could only eat one food category for the rest of your life, like Italian food, Chinese food, American style food, which one are you picking? What would it be?
That's rough.
I know.
Go-to right away, I want to say Italian, but I feel like Mexican kind of flexes the most, and there's like the most flavors. You can go in between spicy and sweet and things like that. So I feel like Mexican would probably be the safest bet, but I could probably eat pasta every single day. So
He's down south. He wants that Tex-Mex.
Yeah, exactly.
Second question from me. If you could be any animal, now not for the rest of your life, you're not living the rest of your life as a bird. You can just be that animal anytime you want. If you could be any animal, what would you choose?
That's rough. I always love pandas because I feel like bears are always extremely dangerous and they're like 800 pounds, but at the same time, like, really, what do they do all day? They just sleep and eat, which sounds like the best vibe. So probably a panda, but like, you screw with the panda, they're still 800 pounds, still have claws, still have teeth. Yeah, still a bear.
Love that. Sayers.
I
What are
love
your
that.
two
That's,
questions?
that's beautiful. Here's mine. So, if you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Ooh, one superpower. The ability to call the perfect play call every time. No, I have not. I don't know. Being able to fly would be dope. Being able to fly would be really cool.
That's money. That's a good one. My next one would be, if you could have dinner with any 3 people in this entire world, dead, alive, like whatever it is, any 3 people, who would those 3 people be?
Dang. I would pick like some random big grandfather just to see what's up, like, see where he's at, and be like, tell him my life. Like, actually, you're 4th generation down the road. He just coaches football. That's what he does. That's pretty much all it is. He just plays games all day. That's what he does. Other than that, if I could meet anyone, the defense, I would probably
have dinner with him.
have dinner. I would probably have dinner with Schwartz, the new defense coordinator for the Browns. Get that down low. Use it for the OBR. Ask questions. Ask scheme questions. Get the down low on that. And then last one, I don't know. I'm a huge Urban Meyer fan, so I'd probably go. I met him once, actually, when he was in between Florida and Ohio State. His daughter, Gigi, goes to FGCU, and we, like, randomly saw him at an Outback when he was in transition, and my dad was, like, freaking out. So we met him for a bit. He's super cool. Would love to actually get in touch with him and talk shop for a bit. So probably Urban Meyer.
There we go.
That's an interesting group right there. Hey, if you're stranded on a desert, what are 2 or 3 items, Tyler, you got to have with you?
2 or 3 items. Whiteboard. Got to have the whiteboard. You can go wild with the
Playing
whiteboard.
the day out.
You got sand though. Like, you can just draw on the sand.
No, then the wind
He's sticking
starts.
to his roots.
Yeah, wind starts going.
I love
Wind
it.
starts going. It gets
All
wet.
right,
Washes
all right.
over. Whiteboard would be a good one. Water is always vital. I feel like I don't know if I would survive. That water would be the big one. I feel like I could survive a while without food, but water I would struggle with. So probably
Hey,
water, whiteboard.
you're going to die on that
No.
island.
The essentials. The essentials.
I love that the whiteboard is the thing. But like, hey, are you taking markers too?
This guy can
Oh
draw
yeah,
on the
there's
sand.
like I would buy the package deal at like Target that comes with the eraser
He
and the
could
spray
draw on the
bottle.
sand, and he's surrounded by water. He just has
I
to
don't
make
know.
fire. Tyler's
I don't
going to
know
die
about
on
your
that
guys'
island.
Your coaching offices or whatever, but you better make sure that the cap is clicked all the way down there.
Oh.
Because
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you
I
right
just-
now, we come into dry markers every week.
I
just
gotta
like
be,
to
I
say
gotta be
whiteboard.
honest. That's the worst 2 or 3 I've ever heard. All right, last one for our pick 6. Tyler, who would play you in a movie about your life?
Oh, God bless. I have no idea.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, this is really hard.
You got me thinking, Coach. I'm like, Jesus, I don't even know the answer to that.
I'm gonna
question.
let Tyler think. I sprung this on him. This is a hard question.
Yeah.
I thought
I've been
about it.
thinking about this for a week.
Hey, I'm going with John Cena. John Cena. I got kids in class. Hey, Mister, you look like John Cena.
You're saying that for the viewers. You've
Nope.
never had that said.
I swear to God, I'll bring him on. I swear. John Cena. The Rock would have been easy.
Yeah,
but hey,
went to the Rock.
I'm going John Cena.
Jason Momoa, I make him shave his head, keep the beard.
Ooh.
He's not gonna be like a 6'3" version
Everyone
of
from
anyone.
me
That's
says
what I
I'm
want to
the
be.
Green Bay Packers head coach. I look like the Green Bay Packers.
No.
I've had 3 older ladies at our school because
Nah.
crazy thing is Northland, the old people love the Green Bay Packers for some weird reason or whatever because we're green and yellow. But
You're Stifler all the way, bro. Anybody played you would be the Stiffmeister.
oh, that would be
That would be you. That
I
would
would
be
take
you.
him. I'll take him.
That would be you. All right, Tyler, you put out a fantastic tweet this week or last week. I think it was this week. So our week's crazy right now in football. I won't even talk about our schedule. And it said, what was your welcome to coordinating moment? Tyler, tell us your welcome to coordinating moment, and then the rest of us are going to tell you ours.
I love this.
Yeah.
This question was so cool to me because everyone gets a little kick in the ass welcome, right?
Yeah, always. Even as a position coach, I'm sure you get it the first time. So mine, I was obviously thought that I was going to be 24-year-old Nick Saban. I had the Aranda playbook. I literally installed it word for word. We had all the calls. I was like, oh, I'm about to go in here and I'm about to shut this team out. We go on an away game and we get our butts blown out like 49-7, I think was the score, or 49-14. And it was against a Eugene Chung, who was an ex-Pro Bowler, ex-NFL coach. I didn't know that at that time, but come to later find out. It was so bad at one point. We played with them for a half, and coming out in the third quarter, our kids were not ready. We had like 12 cramps all within 2 plays. It was so bad. We played a freshman who lined up on the wrong side of the ball, and the other team had to help him get in the stance and turn around. So that was like, oh, well, this is not SEC football. And I really don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, that was rough.
Man. Ryan, tell us yours. Oh, my gosh, Ryan. All right, Ryan's having a little audio
Not my
issue.
fault, my fault. Are we good?
Here he is. All right, Ryan,
Not my
come
fault.
on.
But for me, I feel like mine's not really a welcome to coordinator kind of thing, right? Like mine's like just welcome to head coach, and was like my first game as being a head coach, right? I'd probably tell that week, like, hey, we're kicking this team's ass. Like, it's over. Like, we're good. We're going to win this game. Like, I'm telling everybody, like, hey, we're going to be smooth. It's COVID year, whatever. And we go in, and we're down 35-0 at halftime, just getting slacked. Then the fourth quarter's coming. I'm getting parents chanting in the stands, go back to Pick North, and like just everything. And coming off the field that night was probably the toughest moment to like look at my family in the eyes, I would say, for sure. Because here's my fiance now. She's pregnant with my soon-to-be son. He's hearing in the stomach, like, your dad sucks at coaching football, right? You see, he's not even out yet, and he's getting slammed with that. And then I see my fiance's family, too. My family, my dad's on the sideline.
Them are lonely nights, man. Them are lonely nights. The coaches ain't saying nothing. Nobody's saying anything. Those are lonely nights.
And it's my first night as head coach. And I just remember seeing my dad like on the sideline. My dad's a football guy, kind of just looking at me like, damn, tough one. You know what I mean? Like, no one could say anything that night to make it better. But it taught me, man, it taught me a lot of lessons. Like that one single night right there taught me more lessons as a head coach than any other situation that I've had as a head coach. Just based off of thinking we're going to win now. Shoot, I don't say nothing. I'm like, I just hope we'll compete. I just hope we compete tonight.
Diamond, I'm interested. What are you going to say in this segment?
Yeah, Tyler, so I'll give you some background. Last year was my first year coaching, right? And I coach O-line for Gahanna Lincoln. And so I don't have a welcome to coordinating moment. The welcome, I saw this, I'm like, okay, the first kind of moment where I felt like that was our very first game. And this might be simple compared to your guys' comparative how many years you have experience coaching combined. But first game of the year, we were at the point where I'm coaching my alma mater in high school. I'm coaching with my head coach who's from high school, a lot of other coaches that were my coaches as a player. And so for a while, it was like, I know I'm the O-line coach, but it was like more of I'm on this ride, still experiencing it, learning it, and learning what it feels like. And there was a moment, as simple as it seems in the first game, where our swing tackle was out for the game. And besides him, we didn't really have much depth at tackle. And at one point, the kid's helmet comes off, so he's got to come off for a play. Then he might be hurt for a play. And I'm sitting there almost waiting for someone else. Like it happened in like a second or two, but almost waiting for someone else to be like, all right, what's happening? Our coach had to be like, do this, do that. And there's no sound. Then I hear, what are we doing at tackle? And I'm like, that's right. This is my show with this unit. And it all clicked from there of like, I'm on the ride, but it's still, you got an equal spot in the show. And as simple as that sounds, it was just my first experience of like, yeah, this is really real. It's not a dream. It's not just what you're on the ride for. You're part of this. Simple as that sounds.
We'll wake up because Thursday we gotta get after it a little bit.
We got some more practice on Thursday.
I mean, Thursday you gotta get that mean streak in you Thursday.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna bring mine out. Mine's even worse. Okay, mine's terrible. So I'm a first-year head coach, 23, 24 years old. I travel to Winford High School and I lose 60-0. All right. At this point in time, they were on a 65+ game win streak. And it's like Hollywood, man. We get pushed in, lose. I'm walking back on this lonely long walk in the rain, just pouring down on me. And I just can't. We had like 23 guys. So, Ty, I know exactly that feeling you said when you first started, because that's where I did too. They might have had like 60. They were 2 divisions bigger than us. And I just never forget, like, this reporter comes up and he talks to me. He's like, tell me, coach, I just won 64 games. It's straight games. Is that something you could envision for your program? And I lost it, right? I'm like, what coach would say they wouldn't want that from me? What type of answer you think I'm going to say, man? And that was my welcome to coaching, man. Just like that complete overwhelmed. The week before we lost by 1 point, we're right there. And then the next week, oh, my gosh. So I thought that was a very interesting tweet, and I loved it. And I thought it'd be interesting for all of us to talk about it as well.
Here's another one. Do you guys remember your first time out?
No.
Really? I remember my first time. I was petrified. Like, I would not call it. Like, we were getting driven on, and the head coach keeps looking over at me. He's like, "Need timeout," and I was like terrified to call a timeout because I was like,
yeah. I know that there's always an interesting dynamic.
I'm still like that way as the head coach, bro, and it's terrible. Like, I'm like, nah, save him. No, save him. Don't save him. You know what I mean? And then like we get to the second quarter or something, and you don't save him throughout the like second half usually, right? Like usually them are burned up, but the first half I'm like, save him. We'll get some at the end. And we have only one situation this year where it happened where we went and got 2 scores because I like saved our timeouts. But the other situations, it's like, all right, we're heading to this half.
That's always a very interesting dynamic on a team. Who can call the timeouts? How do we feel about them?
Only me and my offensive coordinator, the only 2 that can call a timeout, or like my OC's up in the stands. So whoever's signaling my offensive play. So that's those are the only 2, me and them.
If I start screaming from the press box, there's a reason. You know what I mean? I feel you. Hey, there's 3 Browns fans on here, right? Jeez. So Tyler's a Browns fan. I'm a Browns fan. Ryan's a Browns fan. Donnie, he's a lover of the NFL. I thought it'd be interesting to talk about.
What is he again? I forgot already.
You can see it in the back corner right there a little bit. He's trying to hide it somewhat.
No,
whose jersey is that?
Dwayne Haskins, rest in peace.
Rest in peace. R.I.P.
Rest in peace. But
rest in peace.
But like, that's the jersey you have, though.
No, listen, I don't even want to talk about the curse that I have over them with jerseys. The jerseys I have: RG3, Sean Taylor, Jordan Reed, Chase Young, Dwayne Haskins. I don't even want to talk about the curse.
Hey, by the way, my mom watched a show. She wanted me to let you know she's very proud of you for finally putting something in the background. She's so excited. I'm sitting here mowing, and I just keep getting these messages coming through my headphones. And you'll have to tell Donovan, blah, 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 blah. So Mama Style's proud of you, man. So, hey, as most of us being Browns fan, and Donovan, he can chime in. Will we ever see this is a 2-part question. 1, will we ever see the Browns figure it out? And did we give up too much with the Deshaun Watson trade? What do you guys think? I'm going to throw it out there.
let me start this off as a non-Browns fan. So let me talk some sense into a crazy world that's about to spiral on this show. I'll start with the second part of that. You guys know how it is. Let me start with the second part of that question. Did they give up too much for Deshaun Watson? Probably, like financially and draft-wise. Yeah, it's a lot to give up. As much as I hate the Browns, I despise the Browns. I root for them to be bad every year. I grew up around Browns, Bengals, Steelers fans. And the Browns fans are the loudest of them all and they're the most annoying. That being said, a lot of people, I'm giving you some credit here. A lot of people forget that Deshaun Watson is a top 5, maybe top 2 quarterback. He is an all-pro quarterback. And maybe even in that higher top-end conversation with Mahomes when he's playing his best. Dude, does he ever get there? Back to that, I don't know. But if he's at 80%, are the Browns Super Bowl contenders? Probably. But the first part of that question, the Browns are not going to figure it out with him. It's just the curse of the Browns in general. They're not going to figure it out with Deshaun, and they're not going to figure it out ever. They're the worst franchise in NFL history. They're not going to figure it out.
Bro, stop. You got poop falling from the pipes in your stadium.
No.
Stop. Like, easy with all the shade you're throwing at us. It's not like you've been much better. Like,
maybe next episode I'll get a banner for the 1991 Washington team, the best NFL team of all time.
1991? You weren't even alive. Stop it.
What was their name then? The Washington what?
The Washington Redskins.
Okay, cool.
He wasn't even alive
not the same
then.
team. Sorry, bro.
All right. Who else wants to talk about this? Let's hear from Tyler. Tyler, as
I got Ryan fired up
across the country, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm at this point where I'm like, at some point you got to prove it. Like, tired of these. I feel like it's a running joke that the Browns have won like the last 3 off seasons, and they always you get in the off season, you turn on ESPN, everyone's giving them A+ grades on their free agency and draft and everything like that. Which I get. You always want your front office to be doing things like that. You think it's always a bad sign when everyone obviously knows that the front office is bad, and it's not the case. But I'm at the point where I'm like, all right, just prove it. Please, God, just prove it. Like, rattle off some wins early. I think for what they gave up for him, I think they want him to be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. I think he could probably get back there. I think he showed flashes of it in those last 6 games. The consistency is obviously the biggest part of that. So he's really just going to be super consistent, but the roster they put around him is serious. And I honestly think the front office and the coaching staff knew with the suspension that was going to be an off year and didn't put too much into making the playoffs, even though they were still alive for the playoffs really late into the season.
Ryan, what do you think, man?
I'm riding and dying with Deshaun Watson. Hey, I'm gonna ride. I even put it in here on the script. I'm gonna just read it. I'm going to ride with Deshaun Watson until the wheels fall off. Got me? Okay. Bring me D. Hopkins right now, and I'm going to show you a Super Bowl team. Okay? That's just a fact. Okay? Stop shaking your head, Donnie. Okay? Here's a fact.
I don't think so.
You bring me D. Hops, right? Then we got Chubb in the backfield. And Joe, who's still a tight end, right? We're dominating everybody. It's over. Okay, and say what you want about my man background, right? Little happy endings, whatever he's got going on. But I'm here for the football side of things, right? I'm here for the soap opera life stuff. I'm a football Browns fan, right? I love the Browns football team. I don't love the Browns soap opera. Like, we ain't watching Days of Our Lives here. That's what Stout used to grow up watching. But we ain't watching. We're watching football here. I don't care what anyone says. People can say, I have a couple buddies, right? My brother is even one that's like, I'll never cheer for the Browns again. I can't believe they did that. I'm like, bro, dude, what? Got a good player? Yeah, he's this, that, or the other thing. I'm like, no, he's a football player to me. I'm here to watch football games. And we're coming this year. I don't care what anyone says. We're winning the Super Bowl. Okay, Stout cut me off because I'm going to continue to go.
I think we just gave up so much. It's just like such a big risk. Like the amount of picks we gave up, and only time's going to tell in the future what that pans out and looks like. To me, it's the money, but obviously money's changed a lot in the NFL as the cap continues to climb and people just kick the can down further and further. This is a big year. If he don't look good this year, then I don't think you can sit here and say he is ever going to get back to where he was. Now, obviously, they got to give him some weapons, some things, but I'm just going to say it right now. I don't think Kevin Stefanski would even know how to use all the weapons around him if he has it. That's just me personally. I just think that's just not him as a play caller.
Wow,
I don't know if he knows.
The OC himself. He's
a boring coach.
Hey, hey, man, like I'm sure people can say things about me, and that's fine. But I'm just sitting here saying I just don't know if we're ever going to figure it out. We finally looked like we were going to, and then looked terrible following it. I just don't see Stefanski ever changing things to improve the situation. I don't know. So
Scout is obvious to me, right? Tyler, you can correct me. It's obvious that he's an offensive-minded guy, right? That he's an offensive guy because he's talking about the risk, right? You ever ran a blitz game? You ever blitzed anybody?
But the Browns' defense have statistically been good for a very long time. Like, there's year in and year out. Even in these bad Browns seasons, the defense has been a statistically good defense. But I just don't think we're ever going to front office, organization, whatever, you name it, put it all together to make a run. And listen, I hope so because I'm sitting here I can't go anywhere else because I can't do it to myself because I love the Browns. I'm going to keep doing it. So, Donnie, let's get into Mr. All Gas.
All right, Ryan, kick it off.
The number one segment, baby. My favorite one right here. The All Gas one of the week. Here we go. We're going to talk about, and this is me every week, no doubt, energy drinks before pregame. It don't even have to be an energy drink, but your juice time. What's your drink or your top 3 drinks that you drink before the game? Go ahead, Donnie Mac. Let me hear what you got. And actually, Donnie, I'm going to spoil, but you're number 3. That it was great today.
Yeah.
I loved it.
It's pretty good, isn't it? Let me preface it with this. 1 through 3 on Fridays last year, I had 1 through 3 throughout the day. That was a tough day. There were times where we'd be celebrating on the sideline, big play would happen. I'd jump up too hard. I'm like, oh, those aren't the stadium lights. Those are stars circling a little bit.
Holy smokes. I thought it was like one or the other, not all 3, big kid.
But I tapered back towards the end of the season. But number 1 is Reign Red Dragon. Rain and Watermelon World. Rain with especially cold out of the fridge, undefeated. It's just so much caffeine. It's like 320 milligrams. Bang Black Cherry Vanilla, also really good. Also a crap ton of caffeine and will get the head spinning a little bit. And that's where Celsius comes in. Celsius, it's a little cleaner, not as much caffeine, not going to jolt me back from unconsciousness, but it's still pretty good.
I love that Celsius Kiwi Guava, man. That's a good one.
It's good.
I love it. Ryan, talk us about yours.
Of course, I'm going to go with my favorite, the Bankster Berry. It's a gangster drink, so you got to go with the Bankster one. Next, Red Bull Watermelon. That one's fire, too. I just got hip to that this past season from my offensive coordinator, Coach Harris. He was like, hey, grab me one of the Red Bull Watermelons. I'm like, and I made fun of him a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be honest. I made fun of him. I'm like, watermelon? Get the regular Red Bull. He's like, I promise. He was like, wait. And I tried it. I had one every Friday. And then I got to go to the original. I don't know if a lot of people even know about this, but the AMP original green can.
I know nothing about that one.
Go back to the old AMP. It was out, bro. That was the first energy drink I swear that I had is an AMP. It's like Mountain Dew, bro. Just a little bit more caffeine, a little bit more sugar. I love going back because it brings back what's that thing they call or whatever when you drink something or you see something, it brings back memories.
Deja vu, Ryan.
Deja, whatever. Hey, I'm gonna tell you right now. Or isn't it like? I'm gonna sound stupid by saying it's not even close. Nostalgia or something like that. Something close to that. Nostalgia. Is this
nostalgia? Yeah, nostalgia.
Yeah.
Nostalgia.
Okay. I do teach math and only science. I know my shit.
All right, we figured it out together.
But yes, that's my third one is AMP original. I just love going back to the old days.
Tyler, talk to us about your top 3 juice times.
This is interesting. I can't find the Gatorade with the thing he put.
They're fantastic.
I'm gonna preface this by saying I have people like all my kids know this. I come in on game days with the most frou-frou Starbucks drink possible with all the whipped cream and sprinkles, and they like call me a white boy, and I come in like wearing Crocs, like super chill. So that's what I usually start with when I come in around noon, and then I slowly start amping it up. So number one, I'll go with the Celsius Mango Peach. That's the non-carbonated. To me, that's like the big thing. Non-carbonated on game days. Don't get the bubble gut. Got to be able to chug it real fast at halftime, things like that. So that's a big part of it. Number two, Ghost Citrus. Honestly, all the Ghosts are all really good. They're just a little too sweet. So it feels like a big can. You chug it all really fast. It's gonna leave you a little bit. And then this is like the dark horse that I just recently started drinking is the Gatorade Fast Twitch. Honestly, all of them are good, but the blue is always best. Blue Gatorade is always best. That slaps. And that is.
I'm getting
really
one
good.
tomorrow morning.
Ryan,
I gotta find
Dude,
this.
it's really good.
This has been in the last month, my go-to. The
But
Fast Twitch Cool Blue is fire.
Hey,
I love it.
Can we be realistic though? Because I do send you pictures of the new energy drinks I get, and I'm like, hey, this is fire. And you haven't got. You said for a whole month now you've been drinking that. You haven't sent it to me.
Ryan, sometimes you don't text us back for like 2-3 days. I don't know how this show operates sometimes. Like it's just I don't know how it operates. But Ryan, go to Kroger and buy yourself that Fast Twitch Cool Blue. It is absolutely great. I'm gonna start with mine. Hey, I'm all about the rain. I love rain, baby. I want that rainbow sherbet. And just so everybody knows, I always pick up our head coach one too. We call them game days. I'm very superstitious, so is he. Next thing you know, I start buying him one, and we got on a win streak, and the win streak keeps going. I didn't know I'm gonna buy this guy an energy drink for 13 straight weeks, right? Like, it's just like, hey, he owes me an extra little percentage on a supplemental. Come on, Bruce.
Hey,
right?
that's about. Hey, if we do the math there, right? You're about $39, $3 an energy drink.
I need that. But hey, I love the rainbow sherbet. I love the gummy bear on that. I love here's been a new one too. I've always loved my bangs, and I've loved some of those. The nectarine blueberry. It's a new flavor, and it's great.
Where are you? You live in somewhere that got all the new stuff.
Hey, man, I love it. And then you could tell I'm the psycho of the group because my number 3 is my just pre-workout. And sometimes before certain games, I'll just have a whole serving of pre-workout. It's just time to go. Man, come on, man. I got babies. I wake up at 4:30 to go work out. I teach hey, sometimes you got to get it going. And that's when I go to that
I'm
gym
never
pre-workout.
taking my C4 pre-workout before a game. I feel like, bro, I'd be hurt.
You'll never coach harder than crazy in your entire life. And next season, I guarantee you're going to try it once.
I had 6 personal fouls already this year, 6 15-yarders. So my guy, we just did an over-under in our group chat of my 15-yarders. They set it this year at 2, so they have faith in me. I love my staff. Thank you. But yes, so we're at 2. So if I take pre-workout, we're going to probably go up to 10.
You can tell I'm the absolute crazy one, and I feel bad for Donnie and everybody
That's why you're
else
locked in the press box.
who has to deal with me from the press box, just being a caged tiger and losing it. Donnie, it's time to talk about the Dirty South. Let's go.
All right, Tyler, this is an interesting topic. I'm curious. So I'm not too far removed from college football, and I had teammates from Florida, from Georgia, from Texas, and there was always the debates about the differences and which high school state is better for football. And I think that's always the superficial topic when you discuss the different states and regions of high school football, and no one really talked about the nuances of what's the schedules like, what's the major differences outside of the talents and things like that. And so I guess one of my questions is a little different for you. Have you, in the discussion, and we hear it a lot in Ohio because we don't have spring football and we don't have some of the earlier offseason features of football. You hear a lot of people saying if you do spring football or if you get kids involved in football activities earlier, you'll see injuries rise. I kind of want to ask a question on the flip side, if you've seen any of this in your experience. Do you think, or have you noticed any difference in injury prevention from kids because they're able to get more into the football movements? We all know football movements and the physicality it takes, whether you're learning it for the first time or getting back into it after a while, it's different and it's hard to get back to accustom that. Have you noticed any differences in prevention from kids being able to start football activities sooner, specifically spring football or anything else kind of in that spring timeline?
Yeah, so I'll preface that by saying I've actually my first year was like right height of COVID, and we actually didn't have a spring and we barely had a summer. So that's kind of like probably what you guys are used to. I've actually kind of deal with that too, so I get that part. As far as injury prevention, it's really hit or miss. So I think it's a lot on the type of practice you run. Big onus on injuries in practice is the kids taking care of their teammates. That's huge. Not whipping each other, not turning each other, not hitting each other low, not trying to crack back each other, things like that. So it's a cultural thing that's what you have to set the standard for. That's a big part. I don't think I've had a single concussion in the 3 years that I've coached. As far as like joint injuries and ACLs and knees and things like that, last year at Tennessee, I mean, we had pretty much 4 preseason games. We were full go, and we live tackled from May until December in the state championship game, like live tackle, like full tilt tackling. We didn't have a single joint injury, not a shoulder. We may have like turned ankle, but we didn't have an ACL, anything like that. We were full tilt. So I don't think it's a huge part of it. Yeah, I think obviously the weight room is a big part of the injury prevention stuff, and then, like I said, the coaches and the players and how they kind of coach practice.
So this was interesting. Ryan, go ahead, man.
I was just about to say that's interesting to me because I was going to do the flip side of things, not just like injury stuff, but spring sports wise. Yeah, did you have something to relate to injury before I carried on?
No, go ahead.
All right, so for me, I feel like the big thing I run into is like in the city we share basketball, track, right? Most of my athletes, my receivers, my DBs, my corners, right? All those guys and I even have wrestlers that are D linemen, right? Like it's just sharing guys because we're a smaller school, right? We rostered last year was my biggest squad at 56. And so how do you guys, now I know you're at a bigger school now, like you talked about, but like at Tyner where you just previously were, how did you guys like combat that? Did you guys doing like did it affect the spring sports? And that's a big argument in Ohio. The HSA is like, no, we don't want to take away from our spring sports. Do you see that actually happening?
Yeah, so I think really the big thing was at the first school that I was at in Fort Myers because we had such a small roster and legitimately every single football player was going to play a different sport. All the quarterbacks and receivers, they all played baseball, and the baseball team was pretty good. So they went pretty far. We all know that has a big thing. When you play a spring sport and you have spring practice, a big part of that is how good is your track team and how good is your baseball team. If your baseball team's not very good, you're going to get them really early. If your baseball team's really good, you might not have them until halfway through. So that's a big part. To me and the coaches that I've been with, our thing was always it's spring. It's a spring sport. They had kind of primary dictation on the kids' schedule and what they do. And if they have a baseball game, then we're going to go easy on them. A huge part of it, is the head football coach's relationship with the track coach and the baseball coach. So if everything's aligned, then it's really easy. Like track at Cleveland, they would practice from 3 to 4, and then we get them from like 4 to 5 afterwards. So we just started practice late. They still got track. Were they tired? Maybe tired. So, all right, whatever. We just kept around it. Typically, spring's a little slower paced anyways because they're trying to pick up scheme again. So you kind of just find ways to work around it. My big thing is
this year too is like I ran practices, our 7-on-1 stuff that we do in Ohio. The stuff that I did, we ran right after track practice. So that's why I'm like, I hate that excuse because it's like you can work around it.
Yeah, and the big thing is like anything's better than nothing. Send me out there with 5 kids. Send me out there with the O-line that's probably just throwing right now because they're not running track. A lot of them probably don't play baseball. That's fine. I would go with just the O-line, D-line for 15 days. I would take that over doing absolutely nothing. That's kind of our thing is like, hey, we're not going to get the track kids and the baseball kids. That's fine. We'll work with the JV kids and the offensive defensive linemen. That's the kind of thing.
And what's really interesting, Ryan, you missed it before we got on. We were just talking about our summers and what summer looks like. And there's so much focus that goes to the spring, right? Because right now it's, hey, down south, they get spring ball. We don't have spring ball. And I asked Tyler, what's your summer even look like? And so just real quick, Tyler, tell Ryan and tell everybody else Ohio football, and we've talked about it a little bit. Tell the uniqueness of where you're at in summer and your schedule.
Yeah, so in Tennessee, you can have a spring game and spring practice. I think it's 10 practices. A lot of people don't do the spring game. That's changing. I feel like more teams this year played a spring game than last year. In Florida, spring games are huge. So we're going to pack the stadium. The newspaper's going to come out. Like you're playing to win those spring games in Florida. So culturally, it's not like that in Tennessee. So you can't take a spring game. Then some teams get started the Monday after their spring game, and they'll go from last week of May all the way till dead period, which is the last week of June, first week of July. You have 7-on-7s. You can't be in pads in June. Some teams go 3 days a week. Some teams go 5 days a week, 4 days a week. We're 4 days a week. Tyner last year was 3 days a week. Going all of June, probably throwing like we're going to University of Tennessee next week and the University of Chattanooga the week after. So that's all our 7-on-7 season will be June. Once you come back July, you can get technically 4 preseason games, not preseason games, they're scrimmages. We had 3 last year plus a jamboree. So that's going to vary, those scrimmages. That's completely between the head coaches. Last year we ramped it up. So like the first scrimmage was like, you got 10 plays, we got 10 plays. We did an inside run and a 7-on-7. And then the second one was like a war game. Finally, the last one was like a full tilt game pretty much with special teams and all that jazz. You can also have joint practices with other teams as well.
I want that so bad.
I know.
I've been talking about that for we wanted to do that. So look, dude, I honestly love that's beautiful, but do not let us get that type of schedule because my fiance is definitely leaving me.
It's crazy. Unhappy others, but it's just crazy. And to me, I'm blown away. That's something I'm going to take away the most tonight. Like I had known about the spring, and there's been so much focus on that, but to see the differences. Spring ain't even half of it, right? Look at how long and how much more and the on restrictions that they have in the summer. And that's crazy. And I had another one too, and this is something interesting. But I think it was last year, Tennessee had approved NIL deals for high school players, right, Tyler?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. Talk to me.
Don't call him, sir. Tyler.
That's the Southern.
Why,
That's the dirty South of
40, 50 years old. So
I love you. That's hella respect. I got a ton of respect for that, but wow, I do not want to stop being called that.
This is a really unique opportunity for us because it came up in Ohio, and Ohio shut it down. The vote wasn't even close. All right. It's definitely a hot topic. So tell us, like, how active or large is that becoming for particular athletes? What do some of these deals look like? Does Cleveland have any? Just talk to us about NIL at the high school level in Tennessee.
Yeah, so I think it's really up in the air what the rules actually mean because they were so vague. The same thing with college football. It's kind of vague. Everything's really vague. So we're still trying to tiptoe around it. I don't completely get the rules or understand them. Like I said, I don't think many people do. Typically what happens is, like last year at Tyner, our quarterback signed an NIL deal with D1. It's like a local training group.
Yeah.
But that was after he was done playing. And that's more the norm, is it's seniors that have already been done playing. And they sign it with a smoothie place or a mom and pop shop. And it's nothing crazy. Typically they show up in the commercial or some ads and they get a couple $100 a month or something like that. Now the school, they can't be in uniform. They can't mention the school, can't mention them. It has to be completely set apart from the school. I know the first player that really took advantage of this, who's going to be a senior, is the 5-star Luke Carter, who has an offer from Ohio State, Ohio State's in his top 5. He's from Chattanooga. I believe he's the first kid in Tennessee that signed an NIL deal while still playing high school sports. Don't know the details. Never met him. There was a bunch of news articles about it. So it's out there. It's just not super popular.
Because that's what we were always interested in.
Because I'm like, what? I feel like kids and parents would, once they heard, like, it's cleared, like, I thought they would be grinding.
No. And here's the thing, like, that I would say. People think, like, obviously, high school's going to start paying players. Like, I'm pretty connected to schools in the state and schools outside the state. That's not how I think it's going to go at the high school level. That's just not like booster clubs are trying to pay guys a stipend, like a $5,000 stipend extra. Like they're not trying to like they're trying to they're just trying to like put kids in reconditioned helmets. Like they're not trying to pay a kid $100,000 a year to transfer to their school. That's what a lot of people think it is. Like that's not what it is. That's not what it's going to be.
1,000%. That just would get crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting. And there's some schools that it's funny that will block that. Won't even let you pay for an assistant coach out of a booster club.
Yeah, that's how it is in chat. And yeah, that's how it is in a lot of places in Tennessee. Is the booster club can't have anything to do with stipends or anything like that. It has to come directly from the school. Chattanooga is even worse. Hamilton County, you're only allowed to have 6 stipends paid from the school. You can only have
them though. Like here in Ohio, like I split my contracts down the middle.
So,
75.
So it was four stipends, and they split it to 6. So you are splitting to get to that 6 even. So it's rough, and that's why team public school in Chattanooga hasn't won a state championship in a long time, because it's so hard. Because you'll play Knoxville and Nashville, they have daggum 18 coaches on the sideline, and you got 6 that are paid. And it's not even. I mean, it's a $4,000 stipend, so it's not anything crazy. You're just trying to barely sweat by. So that's
same way here. I love that. That makes me happy because my dudes from Texas, which I don't have any, but those guys that are we're all connected through the coaching world. But geez, dude, I love $120,000 to go be the campus coordinator and coach of football.
Yeah. Now privates are a completely different thing. I don't know how it is in Ohio, but I mean, there's because we have 2 of the biggest boarding schools in the nation in Chattanooga, Baylor and Macaulay. We have them both from the preseason. That's a completely different world. Because then the kids are staying on campus. That's a little bit.
Out like going down there.
Yeah, we lost to a pretty big one in the Final Four, and we'll just leave it at that. There's always going to be a difference in Ohio between the publics and privates, and I think the biggest thing that many people worry about NIL is how that could fuel that divide even more. Maybe some of them schools.
Here's another. You guys will probably think this is interesting. In Tennessee, privates and publics are in different playoffs. So there's a private school playoff and a public school playoff.
Not here. There's been a lot of push for it, but I'm gonna tell you what, it ain't ever gonna happen.
It ain't gonna happen.
It ain't gonna happen. No,
now, could you imagine going down there 1 month and Donnie 1 month and just or 1 year, 1 full season and coaching in Tennessee, just to see what it's like?
It's just interesting to hear the differences.
Come on, baby. Hey, you guys can join anytime. I got spots, baby. Come on.
It's just interesting to hear all the differences. So I love it. Donnie, let's get us into this next viewer topic. So this one's interesting, man. This one goes out from Drew Evans. So, Drew, if you're listening, man, we appreciate this topic, and we want fans to know that, hey, we're listening when you give us good stuff. And Drew came up with a great question. Some of these, they probably can't be said, but what's the best headset conversation or story you've had all time?
Who's popping it off, gentlemen?
I'll give this one because it's about one of the other members of this show. I think it was a regular season New Albany game, and we're in the middle of the game. I think it was that game, and you hear maybe Stout talking for a few minutes, then like quiet, just the background noise in the headset, and then a loud bang, right? And then you hear Stout yelling our ears off. And explaining very loudly that the window had come crashing down on you or something because you tried to move it up or down, or like you tapped it a little bit and it just bang came crashing on top of you in the middle of the game. And it was really hard. It was very easy to mute the mic real quick so he couldn't hear us laughing. But
full context, didn't even move it. So I won't say the school we were at. We're on the road. Okay, I'm in the press box and I'm looking down at the iPad. And next thing I know, the entire window falls out and crashes on my head. Okay. And you can imagine the words that came out of my mouth, right? I woke up next morning, just I had a bruise, bleeding, whatever, you name it. Headsets went out. I had to run down to the field. I mean, we won't talk about the school. All right. In 12 years, I've never had a press box window fall on my head. In the middle of a game. That was a new one.
First for everything.
Yep.
Tyler, go ahead. What's yours?
Yeah, I don't know if it's not a headset conversation, but like one of my all-time favorite stories is from this year. Our head coach is a legend, and he's like super old school cool. He can get a little fired up. We had the number 3 defense in the state of Tennessee, so we kind of like pride ourselves on teams not scoring or even like hitting the red zone against us. Anyways, we played a team in the first round of the playoffs that we probably should have beaten by a lot. but beating us for the last 2 or 3 years in the playoffs, in the first round of the playoffs. So there's like some PTSD going on. Anyways, they drive down and score on the first drive, and my head coach is livid. He brings them off. This is at home. We got a big crowd because everyone knows we're supposed to be really good. He brings them off and makes them do up downs in front of the home crowd after the first drive in the playoffs. And I was in the box crying, laughing. I was laughing so hard. And of course, our star middle linebacker was like, "Man, what is this? I ain't doing no up downs." And they're doing up downs. He's hilarious. Another one is like our first away game. The JV bus was screwing around. We heard that they were screwing around. So he has them go to their practice field, and he's doing up downs and like suicides, and it's up until like 2 minutes into kickoff. So he's come sauntering back, and our kids haven't even, the JV team hasn't even dressed yet. And so they get dressed. It's like midway through the first quarter, and you just see JV kids like sauntering on the sideline, slowly walking over. Everyone's like, what happened to them? Hilarious. Love the stories.
Great.
He's a legend. Yeah.
Awesome. That's great. Those are both good.
Yeah.
Stout, what do you got?
Man, I had a couple of different ones, but I decided I'm gonna go with this one, man. So it was about a couple of years ago, and this was when I was still at Pickerington. We're playing Westfield Central, and this is a massive game, right? And me and the other offensive coordinator, the OC, was in the box together. We were calling plays from up there. We had just gotten our butts beat the week before. We're in a tight game, one of those ones where it's like whoever has the last possession is probably going to win this game. And here's the terrible thing about being in the press box. You get to hear everybody in the stands. You get to hear all the commentary next door. If the TV's there, you're hearing the whole TV feed all day, right, and their comments. And so there were some comments coming, right? And then next thing you know, some comments are coming. We break a run for a score. Our offensive coordinator, he lost it. He's banging on the window saying, how about that, whatever. These two are about ready to fight, right? And this is mid-game, right? And so I'm literally grabbing him, putting him in a chair. I'm literally standing at the door trying to hold it closed while these two dudes are trying to go at each other. I'm trying to calm my boy down. You can imagine what the head coach, imagine what Nate is thinking is going on right now. This is all going on in the headset, right? And so we're coaching. I'm slamming this door shut. The sheriff comes up, like two sheriff officers come up to the press box in the middle of the game, right? We finally just grabbed our stuff and left. To me, that was like one of the wildest headset things that ever happened. This entire fight in the press box, the sheriffs are coming up. Everybody's freaking out, wondering what's going on in the field. I won't name any names, but it was a story I'll never forget.
I'll shout out to my dog Jay Pruitt, though. I know he would have worked. Hey, my dog Pruitt's working anybody that wants to come across. And Stout's also, you can't see, but he's also the exact guy to have hold the door shut as he's a monster of a man.
He's pretty strong for his old age.
You see what I'm saying? Like, definitely like Stout grab the door, dude. Like, you got that. For me, mine's like not really football related. It's just hilarious. Sned, who was our like first guest, right? Like my guy. First dude that I like really met at Pick, right? I love the dude to death. And we're going out for our first game. And I remember, I don't know, he's up in the press box and I just had seen his wife, right, where she was sitting for the game. And it was the first game. And I'm like, Sned. He's like, yeah, this is pregame. Like, we're warming up, getting ready for kickoff, like just about to get out there. And I'm ahead of kickoff. So I'm juicing the guys up, like, set the tone tonight. You're screaming at them, going crazy. And then I turn around and I like look up to the press box and I'm like, I got to mess with Sned. I'm like, Sned. I'm like, look down at like the 40-yard line midway through. Do you see that brown hair lady? I'm like, she's so hot. And he's like he's looking. And he's, what? He's like, the brown hair. I was like, yeah, she got the Pick North shirt on right like there. And he's like, that's my wife, dude.
That's
and I just started laughing so hard. And I did it the rest of the year. I would look up in the stands before the game and find his wife and be like, Sneddy, 34-yard line, brother. Midway up, 3/4 the way up. He's like, I hate you so much, dude. So we would always break the ice with that before a game. And definitely those were good times. We did it every week.
I love it, man. I'm going to steal that one. I can't wait.
Like, you just act stupid. Like, bro, hold on a second.
Because I go up early. My thing for me is I don't go back into the locker room or anything like that. I go up early with about 20 minutes left to go, and I just look at the call sheet, get myself right, just settle into myself. I don't want to be running up to the press box with 7 minutes to go. I don't like that craziness. I like
I'm seeing you, aren't I, though? So
can
I'm
feel that.
craziness before the game, like screaming, like running, headbutting lockers and stuff.
I just want to get up there. I get in my zone. I'm by myself for a little while. I'm not rushing to sprint up the stands as the kickoff's about to happen. But I'm going to steal that one because that's plenty of time to look for that.
Oh, yeah, it's fine.
Donnie, it's time to get in this last one, and we talk with Coach Tyler about his specialty or one of his specialties.
Coach, so we know, right, you're a defensive guy, and I'm a defensive guy. The other dudes are on the other side. I wouldn't say dark side because we're dark side. Defense is dark side. I like taking that and claiming that. We're the dark side of the team all the time. But
defense wins championships, offense builds dynasties. That's the saying that I love to say.
No, that's more than Tyler. But we're back to real-time defense. Tyler runs a great defense. Obviously, last year he alluded to a little bit. Number 3 in Tennessee didn't even want a team to get in the red zone. So for him, a huge thing that he has is the tight front, and that's what he's really known for on Twitter. It's something that's popping down south. Stouts said that he's not seeing it as much, but he's seen a little bit of a spurts. For me, I don't run it right. We run a 4-2-5. We go single high, right? Over front as our base pretty much every time when we call strength. So I'm excited to hear a little bit about this tight front and get to rolling.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is what I cut my teeth on. That's why we tend to always talk about it when it comes to me. That's what I started with was the Aranda 3-4, which is really a tight base, tight quarters base. I'll preface this by saying we did not run the tight base last year. It was just we were a 4-2-5 base, and we threw it in a little bit. Same thing that we're doing at Cleveland. We're going to be a 4-2-5 base and over base and then throw in the tight front as a mixer. I loved it my first 2 years. Probably one of the best things about the tight front is you know what you're going to get from a good OC. You know what the adjustments are going to be, so it can help you as you get to calling a game, which is typically the hardest part of coaching. I always say the biggest bottleneck is play calling. So that makes it a little bit easier because at the tight front, typically what are you going to get? You're going to get a team that sticks a tight end down. He's going to stick his hand in the ground. They're going to get to a 3 or 4 man surface. They're going to wash the 4-eye down. They're going to try and pick off your backside inside linebacker. That's typically where you're going to see. So as a play caller, as a young play caller, it made the game really easy for me to go to because I could just go to my call sheet and I knew what I was going to get into because I typically knew right away what I was going to get. In fact, my second year, we played 4 or 5 teams that were supposed to be 10 personnel, 4 open spread, gun spread. We did not see a single team that came out in 4 open. They all, half of them ended up going playing tackle over and playing with a tight end and run a power and counter. That's how we chase teams out of it. But it made it nice, made it easy to call football games. Do you guys have any specific questions about the tight front, or I can ramble about it all day?
What's interesting is, so when we got up, before we got on the show, we talked a little bit, and I told you about down here, or I should say up here in Columbus, we don't see as much of it. We see a little bit. There's some teams that will sprinkle in a little bit. We see a lot more of your traditional odd stack or your traditional 3-4. Maybe they'll roll down into a 5-2. That's definitely been the flavor down here for the last couple of years. Talk to me about why. Is there a reason from a personnel standpoint? Is there players you're getting? Why would somebody want to run that as their base defense? Other than what you said about you thought it simplified maybe the game plan you would see, or you could predict it better.
I think the biggest thing, obviously, is that it keeps your second level free because you eat up 2 double teams no matter how you stack it. So always keeping your inside backers are always the first thing you go to on your checklist as a defensive coordinator. The other thing is with the proliferation of the spread, it's really good into 10 personnel because even if when you get 10 personnel, what are you typically going to get from an offense run game wise? You're going to get inside zone at a large clip. You have to do something. If you're a 4-down team and you play over and under, there's a B-gap bubble somewhere. The offensive coordinator is trying to find that bubble, trying to exploit it, trying to just run just regular inside zone run at the bubble. Play the tight front, no longer have a B-gap bubble. Your bubbles are not in the C-gap, so it makes it it's a trump card to 10 personnel teams, 4 open. My personal philosophy, and this I guess off topic, but we can get into it. My personal philosophy is to throw as many fronts at a team as possible. So last year we rolled in with 12 to 14 fronts, and that doesn't even include any stunts or pressures. So like my philosophy now and why we went to a 4-down front is my goal isn't to beat the offensive coordinator. It's to beat the O-line coach and that 14-year-old center. So I just want to throw as many fronts at you as possible. Typically have a completely unique over and under check or an odd check and an even check. So like in semifinals, no, in the quarterfinals, we ran like OG bear, like true 6'1" bear with a shade, 2 3s, 2 5s, and a 7 and a 9. We had like 6 guys walked up. We had never shown that. So that was always like my thing was I don't want to try and beat the receivers or the running backs or the quarterback. I just want to screw with the O-line coach because from my small school background, I was around the OC and the O-line coach, and the hardest thing for an offensive line, I felt like in summer, was when you transition from whatever the base defense was, and now you're throwing in to a 4-down team, now you're throwing in the 3-down, and all of a sudden the kids' minds are exploding because there's a zero nose, and typically they're used to a shade. That typically blows kids' minds. So that was my thing was, how can I do that every single week to a O-line coach and make it, because you only have 3 games pretty much, or 3 practices, your 4th practice you're just walking through. So 3 practices, good luck trying to get 12 different fronts in, because I can barely do it in a full year. There's no way you're going to be able to practice it. So that's my personal philosophy.
I'll never forget that the first time we ever really saw the tight front, we were playing Cincinnati Elder, right? And they had this defensive end. He's committed to Boston College, and he just wrecked our entire game plan because, like you said, we were a massive 10 personnel team. We ran a bunch of inside zone. We were really good at it. Nobody had really challenged us yet out of it, and we struggled with it. And that was our first time really seeing a team that said, this is our base and this is what we're going to do. And it was tough. So when you talk about playing those 4 eyes, a lot of teams will say, naturally, like what you said, they're going to give a tight end. They're going to try to double team or wash things down. But then I feel like a lot of teams will say, hey, we're going to pin and pull you, or we're going to outside zone you. How do you protect your defense knowing that teams are going to try to do that?
Yeah, you carry a bunch. So like my big thing is there's always a debate between being simple and being complicated. My biggest thing as a coordinator, you have to be layered really well. And that's where being layered really well helps. Whether you get to a 3-man surface, whether it's pre-snap, so with a tight end, or post-snap, whether it's gap scheme, pin pull, counter, power, all that good jazz, you have to get a 5 tech, whether it's pre or post-snap, the same way. So you can just line up and under. That's typically the first thing I got to in the call sheet was, let's just play a 5, a shade and a 3, walk down the jack, and now you're playing 4 down. Now that protects your backside inside linebacker. But you can also do that with slanting. So you just slant to wherever the tight end is. So now 4 eyes go into a 5 technique and you're playing under post snap. You can also plug. So you can take that strong side 4 eye, slant into a 5, and then bring one of the inside backers and create under defense that way. So, that's the biggest thing. It's just the layer calls. No, like I said earlier, no, that's what you're going to get if you're a tight front base team. Know that you're going to get a 3-man surface. You're going to get gap scheme. They might try to arc you. They might try to read you. You just got to know what's coming and then prep your call sheet. And that's an off-season thing. That's not something that you do on Thursday or Wednesday or something like that. That's something that you start building your call sheet. You start building your system. And that starts in spring and summer when you start adding in calls.
So my question was going to be for you though, Tyler. Like you say, you have 12 down, like 12 fronts and everything. When does do you have an install schedule of when you want that all 12 to be in by what week, or are you saying I'm going to have all 12 in by week 1?
I want everything in. I would like to have everything in even before fall camp starts. That's really the goal, honestly, and then get to fall camp.
Players though.
So every school that I've been at. Yes, almost everyone. Tyner, everyone was a two-way player. Everyone had to learn offense, defense. We split practice half and half, so we had an offensive emphasis and a defensive emphasis. So we coached JV for the first half practice and then varsity for the second half. Cleveland's a little bit different. We'll be one way up front. They'll still learn offense, but then second and third level, they all go both ways. So I haven't been to a place where we like true 2 platoon. It's either 1 platoon it's either 1 or 1.5 platoon. Everyone's coming up both ways. To me, I'm the guy where you just like keep throwing it at them and then each hole, part hole. So I just throw, starting out day 1, we had 4 fronts. I think we had even, so double twos, we had over under, and then we'd set the 3 technique to the back. So that was like day 1. We just threw it at them, a bunch of them. Because the technique, that's the big thing. That fronts are just memorization. If you can play an outside shade, you can play a 5, a 3, a 1. If You can play an inside shade. You can play a 2-eye and a 4-eye. So
Yeah, I'm glad because that's what we're planning on doing this year. Is like we got older guys. We're just gonna throw it all back at them again this year, just to get their stuff rolling again. Like next week or heading into the week or next week, we're gonna go in and we're just gonna throw 6 fronts right at them. You know what I mean? To start, especially with our D line and linebackers in the box. DBs, I have a new DB coach because we're gonna adjust a little bit there on where they're working individual and doing those certain things with him to get used to him because we're keeping the same coverage stuff. But no, that's interesting. That's good stuff. One more question was going to be. Go ahead. You got it.
Yeah, I tell the kids like because I've been at a new school 3 times now. I tell them like first day, like, this is going to be more than you've ever learned. It's going to be super complicated. And typically they buy into that. Kids want to do advanced stuff. Like they want to feel like they're running college plays and college fronts and college pressures. I don't like hide the fact that it's going to be. I don't tell them it's going to be easy. Like I tell them from the get go, it's going to be really hard. We just got to get through it. Just trust the process, and typically they buy in and get it really fast.
And for our viewers, because I'm also don't know this, but like you said, you guys are 6A in Ohio, right? We go just simple, easy. Division 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like Division 1's our biggest, and then our smallest is all the way down. So I feel like that's simple there. When we talk about Florida, or we talk about a Tennessee group, like what is 6A? Is that the biggest one there? Where are we at?
Yeah, that's the biggest. So 6A, I can't remember what the minimum for. Like I think Cleveland has 1,800 kids. Like total freshmen to varsity, we should be like around 100, 110, 120, like around there somewhere. We have a completely separate freshman team. So technically varsity is a little bit different. I think we had 35 on the freshman team that just came out today, but it's separate. So right around there, Tyner was a 2A school. So I think there was like 400 kids in the high school. We had 40 to 50. And then SFCA, we had 150 in the high school and like 25 to 30. And we did the same thing at SFCA. I had 12 different fronts at SFCA. I actually had more fronts at SFCA than I do at Cleveland because the system was just different. So that's been my MO, was doing it no matter where we're at, how many coaches we have, how many players we have. Like we're just going to be really multiple, more simple on the back end. So a little give and take there.
That's an interesting perspective, man, because I agree with you. Like it's just – as an offensive line background, I just remember when I started out, we were a power eye system, ran so many different formations, and we'd see so many different fronts. The amount of time we would spend having to walk through all those assignments, all those calls and everything, it really just ate up so much time. It's interesting. Why do you think this is it? Because you and I talked before, I spent a lot of time watching Bigsby and Broken Arrow and some other schools this year. Why is the tight front so popular, maybe more popular down south than it is up here where we're at?
Yeah, I think it's really regional. It really depends on your division as well. So like at 2A, at Tyner, I don't think anyone ran the tight front. Almost everyone was like a 4-down or 3-4 slant angle. They were going to play cover 1, cover 3 typically. 6A level, everyone's spread. So everyone's going to run match quarters, and a bunch of people are going to be 3-4 with the tight front sprinkled in. Same thing in Florida. There's a lot of spread teams. I can't remember the last under center team that we saw my first 2 years. They were all gun. They might have had a tight end and an 11-personnel, 12-personnel team, but they were all from the gun. Really, they wanted to be like an RPO air raid team, spread RPO team. That's probably the biggest thing is why the tight front comes out is tight 4 protects you, tight quarters protects you with the RPOs because you can tell the overhang away from the back. Hey, you hang on the RPO. He takes away the stick or the bubble or the slant, whatever it is. You're going to get inside zone RPO. The ball's going to bounce because there's a 4-eye in the B gap, so that overhang can come in. So it just makes things really simple when it comes to like modern spread RPO stuff. Tyner was completely different because we only saw 2 spread teams, and we saw, I think, 12 flex bone, wing tee, single wing team, so it was like way different from what I was used to. So the tight front doesn't make sense. If you're going to play a 12-personnel team or a wing tee team, no point in being in the tight front because when you see that and you're in a tight front system, you're going to play under defense anyways, so you might as well just start there. So it really just depends on where you're at. One of the biggest things when you're going to a new program is figure out what kind of offenses you're going to see typically in your region and then go from there.
Man, I love it. Hopefully we didn't give everybody in Columbus a bunch of weapons. Ryan, wrap us up, man.
Look, we appreciate every viewer as always. First and foremost, thank you so much. Coach, Maines, Manus, Menace, whatever you want to call him in Ohio. I don't care what it is, right? But he's a defensive savage.
Manus.
We cleared that up earlier. But whatever on his stuff, he's done a phenomenal job. I follow all of his stuff on Twitter. I know one of my defensive coordinator, he also follows him, and you guys have talked multiple times. They both write for the Cleveland stuff. So we appreciate you. I know all three of us here are super pumped up to get on this week. Couldn't wait to talk to you and hear a little bit about you, and then also do a little bit of the fun stuff. Fundraising University, everybody get with my guy Brent Maxwell, and we got another huge episode coming up next week, though. I'm not even going to spoil it. Last time I spoiled it, and then Stout looked at me crazy. So I won't do it. But
I agree with you, man. This has been the kickoff of one we've been waiting for. In the next couple, 3-4 episodes, as some people are coming on. Tyler, we appreciate you coming on, man. And it's just great to have this opportunity to talk to you, because we've already been talking for about a month or two before this, just randomly on social media. I want to thank everybody else for joining us tonight at 614 Headsets. If you want to hear more, make sure you subscribe to our podcast on anything you want. We're on Apple, Spotify, Google, you name it. And if you want to watch the video, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, 614 Headsets. All right, keep following us. Hey, subscribe to that YouTube channel. Donnie Mac's upset. We got to get some more subscribers. We got to get that one growing. Don't forget to follow us on social media. And as you see, like we do with our boy Drew Evans, if you've got a great topic that you think we should work into the show, we're going to find a way to work it in. So we appreciate everyone. Tyler, we wish you the best of luck this next season. Go get that next state championship, and we're going to be following you and rooting for you, big guy.
Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all.
The land.
The other land.
Yeah.
We go by at Northland. We go by the land as well. So you guys at Cleveland, I would love to share that with you down in Tennessee.
Absolutely.
All right, man. We'll see everybody next week.